And thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. It's great to be with you on a glorious and gorgeous Tuesday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. We are in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, and I think TJ would be rolling in his grave if he saw the AI-generated image President Jim Ryan posted on his Twitter account in front of quite a few people to promote the solar eclipse on the lawn yesterday. Jim Ryan has over 25,000 followers on Twitter, and President Ryan was chastised. The proverbial finger wagged on the Twitter sphere, the Twitterverse at Jim Ryan, for posting an image of what looks like, you want to go ahead and put it on screen? It looks like Jesus is rising above the rotunda here. It does not look like the rotunda in any capacity. I mean, there's elements, but he has just been absolutely lambasted. Lambasted?
Yeah, lambasted.
Lambasted by social media users for this AI-generated image, in particular because he has so many talented graphic designers and artists associated with the University of Virginia that could have done something that was much more artistically compelling.
Yeah, not only working for the school, but
students,
yeah.
Crowdsource an image that any student would have been proud to create to allow the president of the school to promote with a cross-link to their social account.
Yeah.
As the sole form of compensation. We'll unpack that today. In fact, we're going to unpack the crossroads, Judah Wickhauer, of artificial intelligence and technology and how it applies to mankind and society. We'll take a look at it from a lens from a New York City eatery. Get ready for this story that was sent to us from Deep Throat, the #1 viewer and listener in this family. There's an eatery in Manhattan, a fried chicken joint. And this fried chicken joint is using Filipino hostesses and cashiers zooming on a screen, tablets strategically positioned in the restaurant as employees. Instead of paying, media outlets report, minimum wage of 16 hours and counting, the restaurant owner is choosing to hire folks from the Southeast Asian country of Filipino to work at less than $4 an hour to serve as his digital employees at the host stand and at the checkout stand. This story is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe a microcosm of what's coming for food and beverage, in particular the front of the house, which we've covered very closely on this program. The most damning aspect of this story may be the fact that there is still at checkout a prompt to tip the staff that is serving the restaurant via Zoom. Can you help make it make sense, Judah? Make it make sense. We'll talk about that on today's program. The new HUD median income data is out. Keith Smith sent this to Neil Williamson and I this morning. Keith, thank you kindly for sending this information. I would imagine that this is going to be prevalent on Real Talk with Keith Smith tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. We anticipated the media income in the Charlottesville metropolitan area, according to HUD, to increase. It has. And depending on how you feel about this, whether it's good for the economy, whether it's bad for gentrification, in 2022, the HUD median Charlottesville area income was $123,300. In 2023, it has jumped to $124,200. The expectation of climbing has become now a reality with the data released today. We'll talk about that on today's program. I also want to chitter-chatter which neighborhood in Charlottesville City has the most upside right now. I think our answer, or at least my answer, may surprise you. We'll talk which jurisdiction in Central Virginia has the most upside as well. I want to highlight the U.S. News and World Report's rankings that just came out when it pertains to, or as it pertains to the UVA School of Law, the UVA Darden School, and the UVA Curry School of Education. The UVA Law School, I'll give you a quick teaser, number 1 in the country for public law schools, and number 4 overall. Number 4, tied with Duke, Harvard, and the University of Pennsylvania, the Esquires matriculating through the law school at Thomas Jefferson's University. So much to cover on today's program, including former Pittsburgh Steelers tight end Heath Miller, a standout tight end nicknamed Big Money, who caught passes from, was it Matt Schaub and Marcus Hagans? Under Al Groh. He has been named the head football coach at St. Anne's Belfield Academy. Quite a steal and a score for Stab and its football program. A lot to cover on the show. We're live at our studio in downtown Charlottesville. We are 50 yards removed from the Charlottesville Police Department. We are 1 block from the courthouses of Albemarle County in the city of Charlottesville. We are 25 feet from the law firm of a city councilor, a hop, skip, and a jump from the downtown mall, and smack dab in the center of a market we love to call Central Virginia that is 300,000 people strong. Remember, this talk show, the I Love CVille Show, all we want to do is be the water cooler of information. We don't mind if the storylines are crowdsourced from you, the viewer and listener. In fact, they are encouraged. Today, we have 3 storylines that have been crowdsourced by you, the viewer and listener, including the New York City restaurant that is cutting front-of-the-house staff and replacing them with Filipinos that are Zooming on tablets and interacting with customers at less than $4 an hour. This story is bananas.
Yeah.
This is bananas. This is taking technology and kiosks and smartphone apps to a completely different level.
Yeah.
We'll talk HUD first. Judah Wickow, are you on screen?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
It's good to see you. The Eclipse, from our studio on Market Street, One of our tenants walks by, very jovial and affable.
Yeah, nice guy.
He sees Judah and I, hand above our face, squinting in the sky, like 2 buffoons looking to see the moon. I couldn't see anything. Could you?
Just a bright light.
Just a bright light. Don't look at the light. We kept going like this. Judah's getting photos of me. I asked him to get some photos of me looking at the eclipse. Nothing was working. Our tenant walks out of the building and he says, you know what? Let me see if we can find us some eclipse glasses. We walk to the children. You walk to the children's library and the downtown library.
I walked to the library. They had a sign on the door already saying that they were sold out.
They're sold out. Sold out. Give it away, right?
I would guess, yeah.
So we're sitting over there like 2 buffoons looking at the moon, the sun, can't see anything. Next thing we know, this gentleman comes by and says, here you go, fellas. We put them on, and lo and behold, there's the moon.
Yeah, you could see the sliver. I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. I was, like you, disappointed that the entire downtown area was not...
Yeah, pitch black.
Pitch black or shadowed. I mean...
I wasn't expecting it to be pitch black, but it would have been nice if it was a little more than just slightly overcast.
Depending on where you get your content, I try to read content of both left and right-leaning mindsets. The media outlets that lean right, that covered the eclipse, waved the proverbial chastising finger at the schools that canceled on Monday, saying this is why parents feel they're losing control of their children's education, where heads of schools are saying, you can't come to the classroom, you can't come to the hallways, you can't come to the school today because your kids' corneas may get burned out. We're more fearful of the legal liability than we are of your children experiencing once-in-a-generation type of events.
So some of the schools that took the day off were in areas that were expecting large numbers of people to come driving in. And
didn't Greene County schools take yesterday off?
I'm not saying that everyone lets.
I wouldn't
schools
say
out
Greene
because
County
of
was
that.
an epicenter of the eclipse.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that a lot of places were, and were thinking more about the safety of people. And this makes sense for our area as well.
I can't wait to hear this argument.
Considering the fact that the biggest time for the, I think the peak viewing time was 3:17. What time do schools get out?
Depending on how old your child is, I would say.
Between 2 and 4.
That's fair.
That's when everybody
That's
is
fair.
going to be driving around looking for the best place. People are going to be stopping and gawking.
We're taking days off for school because of traffic. That's what you're saying. Because of traffic.
I'm saying some thought it a consideration with the fact that kids would be getting out of school, parents would be driving, and you would also have hundreds, possibly thousands of people on the roads heading to wherever they can find a good spot to see the eclipse. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that may have been one of the considerations in why schools were let out yesterday.
Ginny Who watching the program. Let's get her comment first. Deep Throat, we'll get to your comments about the HUD median income, which we will get to in a matter of moments. He whispers a call to action of caution when it comes to this HUD data point. First, Ginny Who, her photo on screen, ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Did you get the rankings updated yesterday?
As best I could.
What does that mean? Oh, Stacey Baker Patty?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a photo of Stacey Baker Patty.
And let's see, what was the other one?
Stacey Baker Patty, we would love to include you in the rankings. We just need a picture.
Jennifer Nunley Hux.
That's a fantastic photo of Jennifer Nunley Hux.
This is Ginny Who.
No, I know, but you have Jennifer Nunley Hux's photo on ilovecville.com/viewer rankings.
Yeah, but that's the photo. When you want me to flash that on screen, it's going to be as tiny as that.
Oh, so it's a small image photo. There goes Lloyd Sanook, the counselor and legal mind extraordinaire, walking in front of the studio. Ginny Who says, Jerry and Judah, Fluvanna County was off yesterday and Greene County dismissed early, she believes. Thank you, Ginny Who, for that. My point is this, and we'll get to HUD in a matter of 30 seconds. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts on anything we're talking about. We'll relay your comments live on air. Live wherever you get your social media and podcasting content, this show. James Watson, I'm going to get to your comments here in a matter of moments. Anytime we have an opportunity as a father of 2 young children, me, anytime we have an opportunity to enjoy an experience that is not tied to a tablet, phone, computer, or television screen, I'm going to relish, encourage, and champion. Especially if that experience is something that will not be enjoyed for another 25 years.
So you're saying it was a good thing your son had the day off yesterday?
Our son was at school. I highlighted that on yesterday's show. Our school, the school that he attended, encouraged an Eclipse experience by providing the glasses to the students. And as my wife picked them up from school, fresh from her Charleston bachelorette extravaganza, she snapped a picture of my son and his classmates with the protective eyewear looking up to the sky, and an image that we will forever cherish, and commemorate in the hallowed walls of Instagram.
Alrighty then.
He came home from school, kindergarten, with 7 or 8 facts about the eclipse, including saying, Dad, did you know the next time I will enjoy an eclipse like this, I will be 26 years old? You have a 6-year-old who is offering perspective to his father, literally said to me, the next time I get to enjoy this, I'm going to be 26 years old. He then proceeded to say, man, that's really old. After he said that. But that comment made my day, and it showed that even a 6-year-old can appreciate the significance of an eclipse.
Yeah.
James Watson watching the program. Let's get his picture on screen. James Watson, one of the key members of this family. Mr. Watson, University of Virginia graduate. He is number 5 in the family. He says this, "I'm not going to lie, fellas. I was a little worried when my sons were getting off the bus and I wanted to go back outside in the yard to play in that 3 to 4 p.m. window. I imagined them catching a ball and going blind. I know that sounds a bit ridiculous." I appreciate your comment. As parents, we want the safety of our kids first and foremost. I appreciate your comment, James Watson. All right, topics du jour. Let's go to a one-shot so people can see the headlines. And then we'll go back to a two-shot with a lower third before we get to a word from one of our presenting partners, Judah Wickower. The HUD median income for the Charlottesville MSA, basically the Charlottesville area, is out. And this number, this data point, is for year 2023 or fiscal year 2024. Charlottesville's median family income has increased to $124,200 according to HUD. In 2022 or fiscal year 2023, the median family income was $123,300. So that means the family median income in this area, the Charlottesville MSA, which is defined by Albemarle County, Fluvanna County, Greene County, Nelson County, and the city of Charlottesville, has jumped $900 year over year to $124,200. We are now, by media outlets across the Commonwealth, the Charlottesville MSA is being defined as the highest cost of living area in the entire state. A lot of people are quick to say, hey, what about McLean and Arlington and these cities in Northern Virginia? And the response or the counter to that is the earning power is much greater there than Charlottesville. So the cost of living is higher in the Charlottesville MSA than it is in Northern Virginia. And that really is a tough pill for many to swallow, including, frankly, those on set here, because I've been here 25 years and I've seen this community change into a community that I don't even recognize since when I actually, let me be 100% factual. I've been here 24 years in August of this year. In August of this year, it will mark my 24th anniversary as a resident of Charlottesville. I first came as a first year at the University of Virginia. Dabney 101 was my dorm. In those 24 years, I highlight how it's completely different. It's completely different. I don't even recognize it compared to when I first arrived. That's a topic for another day. I do know, and we all know this, that the cost of living is so dramatically changed, different, radical, out of control, nuanced, difficult to understand, depending on how you look at it, whether it's glass is half full or glass is half empty. Some would say with the half full perspective that this is great for the economy. You have deeper pocketed families here that can support the economy and keep the economy growing. Some would say you're seeing Charlottesville, this area, distance itself from its connection or ties to the University of Virginia that it has in a very long time. And they can point to technology sectors. They can point to the finance sectors. They can point to some of these other major employers that are saying, look, it's not just UVA. I don't buy that argument. I think, if anything, over the last 24, 25 years, the ties to UVA in this area and the economy are stronger than they've ever been. We can unpack that later. But I want to have the specific conversation as you rotate the first two lower thirds on screen about the HUD median Charlottesville area income for 2023 at $124,200, and the fact, this is family household, that it's $900 more than 2022. I'm going to go to deep throat number one in the family, and then we'll go to you, Judah Wickauer, and then in the third slot, any viewer and listener who's got perspective they want to share on this show. John Blair, I'm very curious of your take on this. This is from Deep Throat, who offers a call to action of caution on this data point. He said, I saw this data point. Be careful with this. And here are the reasons why you should be careful, Jerry, Judah, viewers, and listeners. Number one, this is a median family income. Individuals, students, individual and student households and non-family households are excluded from this. That pushes the number up. Families make more money from singletons or youngins with roommates. Why would families make more money, Judah?
Say that again.
Families make more money per household. Family households make more money than individual households or student households or youngin households with roommates. Why would that be the case?
Because oftentimes you have two adults working full-time jobs.
There it is, right there. He said, also be careful with this data point, Judah, Jerry, viewers, and listeners. Number two, year-on-year changes are meaningless, he says. This number is calculated by looking at a census data set that spans 2018 to 2022. For example, 5-year, and he's getting technical on this, 5-year ACS lagged 2 years. And then grossing up for national CPI from 2022 to 2024. So what is fresh is 20% of the base number and 1 new year of national CPI. It reflects nothing about local conditions post-2022. This is a number that is only suitable for long-term, long-span comparisons. And not year-over-year comparisons. There's Deep Throat, a man who uses, I can say this, can I say this without doxing? You've actually said this to me before, Deep Throat in person, macro finance. I mean, how would you describe what you do for a living, Deep Throat? I mean, seriously, how would you describe what you do for a living? In a sentence, in one sentence, so I can relay to the viewers and listeners. Judah, where do you want to go on this topic? He says macro investing is what he would do. Where do you want to go on this topic? I'm curious of your take on this. One of the things I like about the program is we have an eclectic melting pot of thought on topics.
If taking into account everything that you just read, and disregarding it, is a $900 increase between 22 and 23 a big increase? It doesn't seem like it in terms of 124,000. It's what, less than
less than 1%.
Yeah. So is that do we have more information? Like what was the change between 21 and 22, or between 20 and 21?
I'd have to dig into HUD on that. I could find that for tomorrow's program. Those are great questions. I should have been prepared with those questions there. You see the Facebook message I just sent you about one of the channels? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Judah.
That's what I'm curious about, because I
think that's the point that Deep Throat is making. You need to compare this over a span of time.
Yeah, and I think he was also I think he was also saying that the numbers are the overall number is gotten by using the type of math that goes back and doesn't accurately represent a single year. It's more of a he could explain it a lot better than I could. It sounds like it's more of an overarching view of things that doesn't have as big of
year over year is not as important as a span of time. That's what he's saying. Okay, I'm going to offer the flip side of this topic for the sake of a talk show. Here's the flip side of the topic for the sake of a talk show. the area's gotten more expensive, number one. It's more expensive to live here, number one.
Mm-hmm.
If you say $900 is not that big of a deal, here's the fact. It's still more expensive than last year. Number two, he makes the point, and it's a good point, these are family households and not individual households or student households. And he highlights that point because we have individuals that live here and students that live here.
Yeah.
I get that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I would bet you are going to see more families, because of the cost of living is so high, living in the area, than individuals being able to afford to live in the area. And I understand the concept that individuals could get roommates, and they don't count as a household because they're not families in this situation. I get that.
Right.
But as the area becomes more expensive, the need to make more money per rooftop becomes more of a priority. And the need to make more money per rooftop, as that becomes a reality, the community gets gentrified because it's going to prioritize household income and the need for 2 income earners under a roof. That changes the makeup and character of a community. Now, there's of course going to be households where it could be a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home dad, a high earner that's affording the opportunity for one parent to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear from even middle and upper middle class households that they're scraping by locally. And to say $900 year over year, if you're an upper middle class household that is scraping by, you're talking, what, $70 a month? $80 a month?
Yeah, that's fair. I was thinking of it in terms of the...
What's that, 2 tanks of gas a month?
I was
when everything else is more expensive?
Right. I wasn't downplaying the $900 rise. What my thinking was that we had mainly been talking about AMI in terms of how it's changing the wealth gap in our area, and to my thinking, a raise of $900 doesn't show as much of that change in the wealth gap.
Year over year.
Right. I get it. I was looking at it from a different perspective.
Okay, he gave us, thank you. 2019's number was 89,000.
Wow.
Maybe, can you put that as a lower third? You could just copy and paste the lower third top line you have there and change the year to 2019 and the amount to 89,000. And then rotate those 3 lower thirds in place. There we go. I should have done this. I apologize. He says it's interesting to look at a 5-year span, and that shows a massively sharp increase. I'm very curious of what JB has to say about this. Does that not put it in perspective a little bit more for you viewers and listeners, that the 2019 HUD number was 89,000 per household? So what is that? You're talking 35G from 2019 to 2023?
Yeah.
How would you characterize that jump?
Well, that was more of what I was curious about, because you're talking about it in terms of how much a household can afford with growing housing prices, growing growing prices, and everything.
And you got X's in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know is it
89,000. It's better than 89XXXX. Well, was that a porn reference over there? On the lower third? I'm just giving you a hard time.
Where's your mind?
Youngkin says no porn sites in Virginia.
Apparently.
He then compares it to Richmond. As a point of comparison, Richmond went from 86,000 to 110K, so less sharp. And you're hearing of Charlottesvillians moving to Richmond to live.
Yeah.
You're hearing of it.
Yeah.
Especially with the work remotely opportunities that are afforded and the additional housing stock provided in Richmond.
Someday we might have people moving to the Philippines.
We'll talk about that on today's program. Get ready for this. John Blair has this comment. Number 2, his photo on screen, please. He says, I agree with Deep Throat's caution. Another interesting aspect is that this is income being measured for families, not net worth. Net worth would include the value of homes owned, equities, bonds, etc. He also says when you're talking real estate, you need to understand net worth of buyers in addition to incomes, 100%. That's why when you apply for a mortgage, if you need a mortgage or a financing vehicle to buy a house, they're very quick to figure out net worth.
Mm-hmm.
As along with disposable cash, along with earning potential.
Yeah, that's why rich people want houses and physical property that doesn't count as income, because that helps them get loans for the things they want to get and pay less taxes.
Well, a good example of that would be the purchase of expensive art.
Yeah.
Or antiques or sports memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff from Judah Wickower right there. We'll unpack this. I would imagine you'll see Legacy Media report on this now. Here is what we have highlighted. HUD median income numbers are out. They just came out. And it's jumped to $124,200 for the Charlottesville area in 2023. In 2022, it was $123,300. And perhaps most importantly, so you get a span of comparison, 2019 was $89,000. You're seeing a $35K jump since before COVID. A $35,000 jump before COVID is a turning point that you can say. COVID, in a lot of ways, changed the Charlottesville area. Because of COVID, you had a work from home, remote work, hybrid work push. Mm-hmm. And it was collateral damage from the government forcing people to stay home. So when the government, whether you believe this or not, the government forced us to stay home, right? That's a fact.
Most of us.
Many of us, large portion of us.
Yeah.
And because they forced us to stay home, business and the economy still had to keep going. Mm-hmm. So we became more open-minded to people working in their underwear and their BVDs and their bras and their panties and their bathrobes at their house, as opposed to putting on their suits, their ties, and their briefcases and bringing them into work. And when we were given the opportunity to work from home because the man said stay home,
we jumped at it.
We jumped at it.
Why wouldn't we?
Of course. And when we were told to stay home and we worked from the house in our bras and our underwears and our panties and our G-strings and our BVDs and our tighty-whities and our bathrobes, guess what happened? A lot of businesses still performed well. So then they afforded employees the opportunity to work remotely or hybridly. And when that happened from 2019 to now, we got an influx of people who were in love with Charlottesville, who always dreamed of moving to the Charlottesville area, who now have the opportunity to move to the Charlottesville area. And down came the Eastern Seaboard or across the country in manifest destiny fashion. Instead of with your pitchforks and your shovels digging for gold or your parcel stakes claiming land, they were bringing their MacBooks and their iPhones and their Androids and their ISPs, and they were marching to Central Virginia, screaming manifest destiny, we will get our stake of Charlottesville, and we will work for Manhattan firms and DC firms and Georgetown firms and Boulder, Colorado, and Los Angeles firms. And like that, in a 5-year period of time, HUD income jumps 35G. And you can look back at it as a turning point of when Charlottesville changed. Would you call it the denouement?
No, not necessarily.
The final part of a play, movie, or narrative in which the strands of the plot are drawn together and matters are explained or resolved?
You think we're at the final part?
We're about to tell a story of a New York City eatery, a fried chicken joint in Manhattan that is employing Filipino hostesses and cashiers via Zoom. How far are we? Kyle Urban in the house, right there. How far are we from eateries in Charlottesville copying a fried chicken joint in Manhattan, saying, we can't afford front of the house staff. We're now paying all our COVID small business loans. And the HELOCs we took to survive during a pandemic when the government put everyone on lockdown. Let's get a bunch of folks from the Philippines to zoom into our tablets and tell them to go to the table marked with the blue square when they walk in the door. Or at checkout. We do automated checkout at Teeter and Wegmans, automated checkout at Target and Walmart, automated checkout at grocery stores. Why can't we do automatic checkout at the restaurant? And if the restaurants are afraid of shrinkage where people not paying, they just work it into their business model because they have less overhead with labor. It's just a line item, shrinkage. And you hope that shrinkage is way less than the labor line item. Is it the denouement?
I don't know. You know,
is it so you characterize it as foreshadowing?
Could be down the road. I don't know that every restaurant across America is going to start adopting these practices. And I think that I'd like to think that Charlottesville has such a tight-knit F&B family that the backlash would make it less than financially optimal.
You're loco en la cabeza, chico.
You think I'm crazy in the head?
Sí, amigo.
You think, okay.
I think every day that goes by, that unity and the influence that comes with said unification is diminished and marginalized a little bit because of gentrification. John Blair's comment, a story that relates to today's area median income. Charlottesville Tomorrow, which is the news nonprofit, they reported today that the local Head Start has shut down. And some of this, according to the article, is due to lack of staff. John Blair says as the area gentrifies and cost of living rises, we can't get preschool teachers to work. Same thing with this fried chicken joint in Manhattan. Same thing for something that could happen here.
Yeah.
This is what Deep Throat has said on the program is the amenity effect. The cost of living becomes so expensive that the amenities associated with the area change because of said cost of living. And one of the negative changes that you could see is one of the aspects that makes the community so awesome, and that's the robust restaurant scene. And for the robust restaurant scene to work, you need people to make it work. Or do you?
I mean, it's not just restaurants. We're seeing it everywhere. I mean, like it's just pointed out, like John Blair just pointed out, the Head Start program. I'm looking at the article now, leaving nearly 200 families without childcare. But what do you do? What do you do when families can't afford childcare, but childcare can't afford to run a business?
You obviously shut it down.
Unless they raise their prices.
You obviously shut it down.
Yeah, and what happens to restaurants when you can't run a business anymore?
You hire Filipino workers via Zoom to be your cashiers and hostess.
Sure, that works until you can no longer afford your kitchen staff.
And then at that point, you become a ghost kitchen and you deliver food to rich households via Uber. And you don't even offer the in-house service anymore.
Sure, if there's somebody left that wants to cook the food and drive.
And you don't need to drive because you're using third-party transportation. But at that point,
somebody still has to drive the car. And how long before that doesn't pay enough?
Great questions. Is it the
like
denouement?
I said, it's happening everywhere.
Is it the denouement or is it the foreshadowing?
Someone's juggling swords, and every time a sword comes down, they get stabbed in the hand.
It's the death of 1,000 cuts. Yours is better. I'm gonna steal that one. Instead of juggling swords, could they be knives? Because it's a little bit more realistic.
Yeah,
how do you juggle a sword?
You've got to get one that's weighted correctly, but I assume it's possible. Yeah, daggers, knives, that works too.
That was beautiful.
Hand axes.
We're juggling daggers.
Yeah, and one of them is minimum wage. One of them is actually being able to run a business. One of them is being able to live in the area that you work at. And eventually those are, I just see them, they're not, none of them are working together in any manner. I get that people want minimum wage to go higher because they need more money to live. I get that businesses don't want to pay higher minimum wage because the only way to make that feasible is raise your prices or hire less people.
At the same time that local government is increasing the meals tax.
And taxes are going up. And
credit card debt's going up. Fuel costs are going up.
I mean, credit card debt's going up because of all the other things. And then but yeah, they're all working against each other.
God, can I give you a chest bump for that?
Okay.
Would you prefer another method of...
Is there another method?
All right, how about just a high five?
Okay. Can anybody see?
Are we on studio camera? That would be best.
Okay, hold on. I don't know if that's going to help, but...
Yeah, it helps there. We're right there. How about a high... Well, can you stand up? So people can see you? They don't see you right there. There they can see you. Okay. I tricked you.
I'm trying to break my glasses. Plus, you could have taken out the...
D-Throw giving you some
studio
props.
camera.
You're on point. You're on point right there. Judah makes the point about this, which I think is a good one. If you have a job here, you should be able to live near here. But people forget there are two sides of this equation. It might not be about getting housing units for people, but rather that certain jobs should not exist here because the productivity level is too low to afford the cost of living here.
Yeah. I mean, how long before, Charlottesville no longer has all the restaurants it has because it's just not feasible?
And then what do we become?
How long until all those bus drivers we work so hard to get for our schools say, it was worth it for a year or two, but it's just we can't do it anymore.
There it is. Judah Wickower. Ginny Who says, don't break Judah. We got about 5 more minutes here.
Many have tried.
We got a VIP in the hallway waiting for our meeting. Are you ready for the 1:30 meeting that we talked about?
I don't see why not.
Okay. Headlines that we want to get to on today's program. Well, let's save which neighborhood in Charlottesville has the most upside right now and which jurisdiction has the most upside in Central Virginia. Let's save that for tomorrow's show. Can you make note of that? We're having a during show production meeting now. A post-pre-production meeting.
Post-pre-production.
A post-pre-production meeting. Those will be the top headlines for tomorrow. We got to show the Jim Ryan artificial intelligence clip, the AI clip.
Yeah, I'll show them the full ad.
Why Jim Ryan? I don't even blame Jim Ryan because I don't think that the likelihood of Mr. Ryan even posting this on his own accord is probably not great.
Yeah, you think somebody's just using his account?
I think on something like this where it's just like get something up about coming to the lawn to enjoy the eclipse.
Yeah.
That his public relations office did this for him. But his PR office has got him in a little bit of shadowy shade.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's an eclipse pun. A really bad one.
Yeah, it was.
This rotunda artificial intelligence image is putrid. Is it not?
I mean, I'm not as taken with with everything UVA as UVA graduates are.
This is what the Daily Progress writes. The image President Jim Ryan promoted online shows a rotunda with a full colonnade wrapping around the entire brick structure. Put it on screen. This is the AI image, if you can put it on screen. The real rotunda only has columns on its north and south sides. Ryan's rotunda lacks a fixed perspective, which is most noticeable when looking at the building's wings, which are depicted with unevenly spaced columns and arches facing every which way. Ryan's rotunda also has more windows than the real rotunda, and the landscaping appears to confuse and combine different views. borrowing the staircase from the north side, the walking paths from the south side, and throwing in a wide driveway and mounted plaque that have no equivalents in real life. This is basically imagery plagiarism. Maybe not imagery plagiarism, imagery forgery done poorly.
Plagiarism is a great word, considering what we know about AI image generators.
And here's another question for you.
You do know they are based 100% around plagiarism.
Right? Oh, 100%. And here's a follow-up question for you. If the university's honor code is steep in tradition, where does AI in fake photos, deep fakes, fit with the president's social media accounts?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Is that what it is? The president of the university, a university that is rich in honor code tradition, is using can I say deep fake?
I don't think that really applies here.
The president of a university rich in tradition, is utilizing forgery and plagiarism with its event promotion.
Yeah, essentially.
Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a conversation for a cocktail party. 2 other items out of the notebook. Heath Miller, Virginia graduate, Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Famer, is now the head football coach at St. Anne's Belfield Academy. Hell of a get. Yeah. Hell of a get by St. Anne's Belfield. Heath Miller's got 4 kids at St. Anne's, now the head football coach there. We let you know as you're rotating lower thirds about the New York City Eatery that's hiring Filipinos via Zoom to staff their restaurant as cashiers and hostesses, paying them less than $4 an hour, and still asking the customers to tip.
Yeah.
Explain, make it make sense.
One of those pre-scripted, please tip us 18%.
Yeah.
It's like, I appreciate people like the owner of Bagby's, people like the owners of Vita Nova, and I'll often leave them a tip when I'm paying for my stuff, even though there's no.
The owner of Vita Nova, Louis, I had Vita Nova pepperoni pizza for lunch. He doesn't even ask.
He doesn't usually ask you to.
Doesn't even ask for the tip. Doesn't even ask you to sign the credit card slip.
But sometimes I'll ask him for it just so I can give him like $1 or $2.
Okay, but he doesn't expect it.
I know that.
Louis is the man.
But I do that sometimes because I appreciate these people, and I appreciate their hard work, and I appreciate their friendliness. But that's
got 30 seconds here.
But it's my choice, and to
auto prop is presumptuous at best,
especially
insulting, in most cases,
especially with the amount of money they're likely saving on these people. The people they're not present hiring in New York anymore.
Bingo. Last topic, and we're out of here. The U.S. News and World Report's 2024 rankings are out. The UVA School of Law is the #1 ranked public law school in the country, #4 overall. The education school cracked the top 10 for the first time in more than 2 decades. The business school, also on fire, moved up 4 spots to #10 overall. You got the law school, the Darden school, and the education school with grad schools getting top 10 rankings or better. Think about that and the impact that has on Charlottesville. For Judah Wickhauer, I'm Jerry Miller, and this is an I Love CVille episode, Judah, that I'm very proud of. Excellent work. Judah B. Wickhauer. You carried the show today. So long, everybody.
Thank you.